Everybody who has taken time to go through the SEDC document will agree on three things. Number one is very comprehensive. Number two is very thorough. Nothing was left out. Number three, if you're looking for a template for development, get that. In addition to having read that document, I've also listened to the chairman and the MD of SEDC. This is, where's the mouse? Yeah. Okay. So after listening to two of them and the document I've read, my question is, do I have anything to say or do I need to say anything at all? So since that document is there for us, and all of us have also listened to them, I believe my task is to say that I adopt everything they've said so that I can go and sit down. Those who agree that I should go and sit down, say aye. Uh-oh. The eyes are wicked. So, brief comments is about a people coming together to live as one, and I'll mention an anecdotal experience and get on with the presentation itself. Sometime in 2004, there was an attempt to establish a film village in the southeast, and two options were available, Ebonyi State and Enugu State. A place that would be the headquarters, so to say, of production, among other things. It didn't happen because the southeast, quote-unquote, stakeholders in Nollywood were quarreling among themselves. So I convened a meeting. Usia Fason was their man. In the end, it didn't happen, among many other things. Globally, you see that even nations you think that are far advanced are struggling to come together at the level of their core vision. Some of you, most of you I'm sure know of the Leadership Institute in Arlington. It was set up by Ronald Reagan, the chief of staff by Morton Blackwell, chief of staff to Donald Reagan. Their business to recreate the American tradition, teach as many young Americans as possible the core American values, and make sure they get into the State Department to maintain national consensus. Last year, but that's by the way. So let's look at the topic. Okay. Framing a shared future for the Southeast. When you say shared future, it means there's at least two people involved. It also means that it's a future they must endorse before you begin to share it. That future must have a vision they agree on. And if all these details are not in place, you're not going to have a shared vision. And in addition to that, you have this. For that to happen, you're going to have challenges. The future you have in mind is that let us go to Obolafo. You have to be sure I want to go. The future involved is that there might be some states that have their silo aspirations they're uncomfortable about. You must convince them. And that means there must be consultations. Choices are going to be made if you're going to have a near future. That means everyone must endorse those choices. And there must be a shared vision. So, some quick observations. It's a bit too early for technical problem. From reasonability, sustainability, we desire a shared future, but ladies and gentlemen, look at this. That future must be conceptually meaningful to everybody involved. That means that the 5 states must say, yes, I see what this is about. I'm accommodated in it, I'll go along with it. It means it must be desirable, feasible, viable, sustainable, and then have ultimate value proposition. We desired a vision, we got a commission and everything. The process of getting everybody to endorse it is what will take us to where we want to go. But what I'm actually asked to do is to talk about Southeast Nigeria, where we are, where we could be, I would rather say where we should be, and what is holding us back. My first response is that all of us are here together. I'm not the one who brought you here. I don't know where you could be if you were not here. And nobody should call my name about what's holding us back. Having said that, major submission from me before I go into other details is that a new Southeast vision and revival is possible. The Commission and its leadership, working with the governors, offer us that possibility. And I think nobody should joke with that. We need each state to stop the Iko-Tunye philosophy of doing everything by himself and for himself. When you're riding a bicycle, there's only one engine, you. If you're carrying somebody, more trouble for you. So essentially what I intend to do is to raise issues that will induce reflection. Make us expand beyond, not just there's the perfect, if you like, infrastructural layout, issues on economy, but I introduce other thoughts for us to reflect because the whole point of coming together here is to see, are there new perspectives to share? And it's those perspectives I'm focusing on. We need the states to focus on the areas of comparative advantage. We need the states to create and lock into a regional template with a modern logistics system. We need networked specialization and economies of scale and not unintelligent competition. And the point was well made by the chairman and also the MD. The land space of the Southeast is small. Massive infrastructure, particularly for movement, is being developed individually. In fact, it's like the consolidation we tried to do in the Ministry of Education, where I was head of communications. You have 3 to 4 examination bodies. All of them have exactly the same infrastructure, the same VSAT and all of that. Our argument was, what is this? None of you is using 20% capacity of what you have, so consolidation, less cost, etc. Now, consolidation of capacities in the Southeast, not that it just brings economies of scale, you discover that it also costs less. When we set up the comment newspaper, I was chairman of the editorial board, there was the argument of, oh, you know, we have to buy our distribution vehicles. It will show our dignity. I say we're not looking at dignity, we're looking at economics. How many are we printing now? 10,000 copies. Why should we buy 10 distribution vehicles? Let's go to those who already have vehicles, negotiate daily pay, and let them carry our papers. That's what ought to happen, generally. So, the implications of the observations made above are that the mindset needed to make this happen required the following. Number one, using the tripod of physical, economic, and axiomatic spaces as the pillars to be fortified. I will explain. Seeing Southeast as a coordinated production, distribution, movement system, axiomatic. If you're dealing with the physical space, you can build infrastructure, the economic space, regulatory environment, incentives, amongst other things. But once the people have the wrong values, development cannot occur. And I think that the element of values has to become a central component of what's going on or what will go on within the matter of SEDC going forward. Now, the point is, designing a detailed values orientation tripod beginning from schools. They will seem to be set off. Are we not talking about the development? How can you be talking about schools? The human being with the wrong orientation is greater danger to statecraft. That most of the previous commissions have not performed is not because they are not funded. On the contrary, it's because of the values many managing them have brought to bear on it. Opportunity for plunder, procurement, I'm running a commission, I've spent so amount of money. Oh, what have you done? Development commission, not a food distribution commission. Oh, I bought 500,000 bags of rice, I bought mosquito net, among other things. Consumption. Now you go to the place he's supposed to develop. The people have been out of there for 5 years. Redesertification has taken place. The soil is not being reclaimed. A procurement outfit is mistaken for a development outfit. That is what SEDC cannot be. And the template they have shows it's not going to be so. So I ask you, why are you not clapping? So, leveraging the media in a sustainable manner beyond presence and visibility. I will explain. One thing we know in the media, if you don't want something to be very well projected. Go and do it in the Southeast. Just check from today. How many events that occur? This will get headline because of SEDC. How many events from here were reported? So we are satisfied with media presence. Oh, Oga, what you said is on page 28. And I asked myself, what crime did I commit that I will continue turning to get to 28? Probably besides myself, nobody else will know it was there. That's mostly, we are satisfied with news mention. Now, that's different from visibility. Media visibility means that what you're doing is, at least, more readily seen by most people who read the paper. You need media dominance and media impact, such that on any issue in which you're interested, you'll be one of those mentioned early on. We lack it here. Now, so let's break it down a little. This is where we are. We're in a nation where conspiracy is more rewarding than competition. Do we agree? Do we agree? Do we also agree that our people don't score very well in conspiracy? Do we agree? Let me tell them, are they the one feeding me? He'll get up and go home. Those who are sitting will take a decision. Is he the one that put the roof in my house? That was why in 2002, I think, we had gone for World Igbo Congress in Houston. And at that event, I met an old friend who is publisher of US Africa. And then a meeting was called by somebody who later became governor. I'll be specific. It was Rochas who called the meeting on Igbo Development Fund. Ikemba was at that meeting, Ben was OB. Fantastic meeting, all kinds of statements. What the hell? Let's get rid of Nigeria. We have the resources to develop South. People were very excited. I raised my hand. I said, the challenge with me is that I'm not very good at deceiving myself. You're still in Nigeria, you haven't left. They are bringing money for developing different parts of Nigeria. Keep your own. Collect the one you're entitled to. Use it. Use the other one. Use this one. You can use the other one for interior decor. But what worried me was the number of people who were excited about this suggestion. And it's always been our drawback as a people. The illusion that you don't need anybody. The illusion that when you make money, you have a shop in Lagos or anywhere else, whatever they ask, pay them, let's continue our business. And that makes our businessmen believe, wrongly in my view, I may be mistaken, they are wealthy. Because you ask yourself, the wealthiest of them, how much do they have? How many can you take? Give me a check of 500 million. He does it. You ask him third time, second time, by the fourth time, how many Igbo people have oil wells? A man spends 94 million, gets into business, imports a lot of things, finishes selling them and makes another 300 million in 7 months. Another person has oil well or access to dollars. He makes $2 million in 6 weeks. And development is about the mind, first of all. Understand the value you espouse, so you're also not misguiding yourself. The illusion of wealth. But that's what I'll close with. Let me go through this. Where we could be, or where we should be, we should by now have easily turned into the West African knowledge and innovation hub with a multidimensional ecosystem. Multidimensional because it involves economics, it involves creative industry, it involves fintech, it involves everything conceivable. The capacities are there, the skills are there, but do they come together? I took the Nigerian delegation to the US in 2004. All Nollywood actors. Stephanie is here. Stephanie was on that trip. In fact, because my daughter's name was Stephanie, 2 of them were my daughters during the trip. To agree was impossible. To agree, Nigerian movie makers and those from outside, the ones out anyway, but those ideas I would rather leave behind so that we make progress in this. Now, what is holding us back? Please see whether you agree. Limited elite consensus. Do we agree? Do we agree? And also, limited capacity for strategic engagement. Not individual engagement, Not somebody doing you a favor or helping somebody get an appointment. Strategic group engagement is a challenge. Energy fragmentation and myopia. Oh, is that what they did? We can do our own. And you waste resources you don't have to spend. That's why the beauty in the military, I do a lot of stuff with them, interagency collaboration. Something has happened, they need the place to be protected, they need supplies, etc. All of you ship out. No, share capacities. And I will give you a live example. Some of us will remember the bomb explosion in Ikeja cantonment, some 30, okay, not awkward. 2001 or 2002. At that time, I was just said to Minister of Transport, the event occurred, he said, okay, let's quickly get to Lagos, people are dying. We headed to Lagos, summoned all the agencies, NPA, NMA, now NEMASA, NIWA, brought supplies, brought food, brought money, brought clearing equipment. We got there. 3 NEMA came after us, about 4 government agencies trying to do the same thing. All of them have spent the same amount on what would have cost 25% of the cost. That's what SEDC is telling us. The Southeast doesn't need to do it. What we need to do is to strategize, not dream, not complain. If you take time to do studies on this, as some of us have done, you find that Southeasterners have the largest number of WhatsApp groups. Some of them with a total membership of 47, an ABBA. And as far as they are concerned, whatever they're saying in that WhatsApp group is going to be used to develop Southeast. And beyond the members of the group, there's no further content, no impact. But if you see the person working as the administrator, you think he's the emperor of France. And that creates the danger of imaginary activism, imaginary relevance. The presumption that when you say your mind, you've done something, a disinclination to get involved in real terms. So when you create a strategy, you must design an engagement template and then sequence your engagements. We sometimes have very good ideas, but people make recommendations that are not meaningful and they don't know. We recommend that His Excellency should create opportunities for our youth to be employed. I agree. Question, how? Not indicated. Implementation strategies, not indicated. And you find that in most government activities, a retreat, a communique, we can be best described as statements of good intention. Let us look at the SEDC template. It sets an example we should take going forward. Only one person had the courage to clap. You know what? You're lucky you clapped. Can you guess why? Can you guess? If you hadn't, I would have asked you to kneel down. So, looking at it more closely, ladies and gentlemen, infrastructural deficit is part of our problem. Substandard roads are there. Self-generated power is making people spend money they don't need to spend. Poor overall transportation logistics is not entirely our fault. It's not even our fault. We built a rail to Niger Republic, right? Undersubscribed and subsidized. I think another rail is about being built in the Southwest. I read that 2 days ago. Anybody did? One of the states. There is none in the Southeast. Not one. Gas plant out of here. So you find that because of these obvious and no real government establishment that will make somebody to have been posted to the Southeast, you find that many of us then adopt a purely lamentational approach to rescuing Igbo land. The experts are enumerating all the bad treatment. These people, we shall see. He goes to his house and sit down. Strategic engagement. It's also time for us to forget certain things. You will bear it in mind, but that is not the reason why you will not engage in the present. We've seen they don't like us. Let's be doing our own. But they make the policies. Ladies and gentlemen, let us see the hope SEDC offers us as a people. Now, we have weak regional coordination and limited bargaining power at the center. Most people who want power will go to the center and come to inform. It's not the same in all other places. Low trust in political leadership with citizens seeing politics as elite serving. Security and other issues exist, and they are characterized by armed groups, sit-at-home disruptions, and heavy-handed local task and tax forces. That is something to be looked at on its own. The sense of autonomy is frightening. And outside Tanex, there was a time there was some conversation. I think that was the Southeast Development Economic Group. Am I correct? Chief Prince Wadinobi. Yes. Southeast Economic Group. After a while, I stopped attending the meeting because the first thing, elaborate ideas were being discussed about how roads will go to different parts of the state. And I asked myself, can you construct 1 inch of road in a state, except the governor says so? No. So even when we are talking about integration, if you don't carry the governor, he's the one who signs, you don't get a CFO because you want it. Now, this idea, and that's why I've seen about 13 Southeast development projects and designs by very intelligent brothers and sisters housed among themselves. Sometimes a member of that group is starting another one and he has no reference to the previous one. And so I get in, it's easy for me to know when to get out. The satisfaction about designing it is often the major reward by the time it's done. That cannot be how to take us anywhere. Sorry. There's brain drain, of course, and it's not that somebody is going to the US. There are no opportunities here. You go to Lagos. I remember a youth program I run in one of the Southeast states, and I told them, if I'm from Ijebu-Ode, and I leave the house every morning and I go to that general park, it's unlikely I will go home with less than 500 naira. By the time you're disturbing people, one passenger will give you something. Say here in the Southeast, if you have no skills, you can't fix shoes, you can't teach, you can't do anything. It's either you die of hunger or you go into armed robbery or you start carrying load for people. If you're a lady, you have no skill, it's because you're looking fine. Somebody talks to you, carries you, you're very happy, you're spending beyond your earning profile. Nobody cares about you. Just the way you buy burger and eat, that's what you've become. You're not a person. And then you go on that business, maybe 5 years. The vehicle begins to look a little worried. Then you go and become born again and tell them all have sinned. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why I think our youth need guidance on what is possible within their environment. And you can see I'm leaning more and more towards that component of it that should become part of the responsibility, even if on the side of SEDC. Because when they are done by states, they bring the young people together and make motivational speeches to them. It never works. In one instance, what I did as a module, it was a 1-week program, was to take one of Oliver's songs. You know, after that, so after the music, I said, let's play it again. They were quite excited. I said, when it's playing, please write down the names of all those who are praised in that music. They did. So I said, okay. This was years after I had. Out of all those people, how many are still alive? And how many died between 5 and 10 years of the release of that music? The hall was dead quiet. The lesson to them was simple. And that's what our youth need to hear and understand. They always have a short span. They've come and gone. Chidebere is still there among other things. Well, that's why value orientation is of interest to me. Now, Southeast could be the industrial hub of West and Central Africa in the following areas: export-driven clusters in light manufacturing, automotive part finance, franchising, pharmaceuticals and agro-allied processing, technology innovation, creative industries, and diaspora capital driven investment, not just remittances. And that's the other point I'd like to really get us to look a little more closely at. When you say that Southeast got 10 naira from the diaspora as remittances, we're very excited. Imagine how much that is coming in. We may not even need this government. Question: how much of that money is not what you send to your cousins to eat with? Remittances that are sent to families, siblings, etc., is what you used to eat. There's nothing wrong with it. At least you're spending the money here. But a direct nexus between the money sent to you and industrialization and investment is a different matter. And the beauty is that there is now serious thinking here about the conversion, about structured diaspora remittances that will go into investment with a template that makes sense to me when I read it. Now, the things holding us back include fragmented leadership orientation, where you find competition for the same office. I think they should bring 3 more mics. You put some in my pocket in case of emergency. You know, you want a position. It's mostly the Southeast that you find the political elites fight for positions in the public domain. And where you don't get it, you become my enemy. Absence of long-term shared regional goal, among many other things. We also have a policy think tanks. And in many of them, what you find is a lot of think and no thinking. So, what can we do differently? We have to address the challenge of power supply and entrench export standards in local products. Their manufacturing is going well, it's going to West Africa. All they need is some funded incentive, not at the expense. And I'll cite a live example. 2016 or 2017, we went to Algeria, on a study tour with some candidates from the ND and all of that. The briefing, what we saw was scary. Do you know that if you have a bakery, or let's say you have a poultry, you started it with 2,000 birds, now you have 35,000 birds, you're still working on it with your family, everybody is happy, the government will come, survey your facilities, look at you and say, sir, we know you're doing well, have the energy, but you see, if you're not here, this place will collapse and people will lose jobs. We think you need a manager now. Administrative manager and financial manager. You know what's going to cost you, sir? Nothing. We'll be paying him. Because you need to retain this poultry in order for jobs to exist. So our people in Okey, in Aba, need that kind of. Because don't forget the status of many of these boys. They are not strong on values. It's about survival. You produce, like states that do, and we've carried out studies on this. If you go today to any state and carry out youth empowerment program and investigate, what you'll find, Ebere, are you using a bookie watch? Well, this is a pressure point now. Let me see how much of this I can use. Are there reasons for optimism? Yes. the establishment of the commission is the first good news. The second is it is headed by high-performing individuals. Third, the commission has the missteps of other commissions to learn from. And NDDC alone has trillions of unpaid funds. That the mistakes they've all made is a template that will tell the SEDC what to avoid. The commission did not immediately announce programs, which means that it set out to get something done. And now the last point there, it says, people say that only a fool brings a dance to the village square without first perfecting it in private. NDDC could easily have been doing a lot of things from the beginning. Think of when it was set up. Think of how much has gone on behind. And that's why there is strong hope of, revival. I have to fly through this because the notice he gave me is not related to the original time. Home run. Human. The human being is the primary resource of any nation. Natural endowments cannot develop a nation, cannot do anything. You need human beings who have knowledge, who have discipline, who have the right values for development to take place. Ideas are also not enough. There must be the right ideas, and the capacity for effective leadership will put them together to deliver results. I take the last one. Look at Venezuela, ladies and gentlemen. It has the largest oil reserve in the whole world. It's the headquarters of crime and poverty. Now, look at Japan. Japan exports only one product. Can anybody tell us, before we round up, just one product? What does Japan export? Sorry? Electronics. Technology. Do we agree? Do we agree? I don't. Japan exports only one product. You know the name of that product? Knowledge. It comes as technology, it comes as cars, only knowledge, know-how. Because Japan does not have a single resource that goes into the cars. They don't even have sand with which to make cars. In the 80s, they were buying Russian trucks to melt them down and reduce the thickness and use this thing. So, now, quickly, in addition to the SEDC template, excellent template we are seeing, this is suggested a youth and women leaders summit. They are the ones who are mobile. All of us here after this event, it's not going to be more than 3 or 4 people will discuss about it. The youth and women, not to theory, have done it. We wanted to deal with a state. We started with youth leaders, first consultation, then youth leaders summit, then women summit, then summit with all the registered NGOs. It took 7 months. Nobody knew we were doing anything. And SEDC is not making noise as it's moving. That's one thing that should happen. And it cannot be all states in the same place. It will be a disaster. It will be a rally. Each state. Structure it. It's not 100 meters dash. You can do some 2 local governments or 3 or 5. In the case of you leaders, you can do all at once in a state. But the template must be developed. Second, a consultative forum with town union presidents. You have what you call centers of power in a state. If I'm a youth leader, I'm a center of power because there are at least 10 people who listen to me. If you talk to me, you're going to get no less than 7. Town union presidents are centers of power. Traditional rulers are centers of power. The church is a center of power. You talk to them. I want to talk to people in Kano today. And I go, I speak all my English. They were forced to come. I go there, go to talk to the mayor of Kano, a very powerful imam. I'm sitting down. The man is sitting beside me. Before I open my mouth, I have 50% endorsement. For Baba to be here, he knows the man. That's how it will work. Consultations with council and ward chairmen. They need to understand why they are there. No matter the little amount you get, every month, do something. But it's not happening. So that will also help with political consciousness and you mean the man has been getting money? Every month, a local government chairman gets between 100 and 250 million, depending on the area, and nothing happens. When I say nothing, nothing happens. And the people are living with that. Then on this, Forum for LG chairmen should also come in. These are the things. Without creating, because when you begin to go into this, the politicians active may misunderstand it. So it's always best to explain before engaging. Our biggest constraint is actually not marginalization. It is the absence of coordinated internal economic, political, and institutional power. It needs to organize its capital, protect stability, think generationally, and negotiate from strength, not grievance. All of us are very excited that the youth, intelligence, and age of the MD, nobody did him a favor by giving it to him. It was capacity that was recognized. But one challenge I detect in the South is that the older generation appear to be incapable of growing old. If you are to say there's a ministerial position available today, a lot of people who are much older than me will prance forward. And I don't know. It's irresponsible. And that's another element to pay close attention to. Now, look at those who went for us during the last constitutional conference. Very capable men and women. Go and take their age bracket. With all due respect to everyone here, I don't think any of them should have been there. That's the issue. The Okoyes will not have come forward. The younger you are, and again, please let me make this distinction before I finish. We must make a distinction between biological age and ideological age. Somebody can be 90 but ideologically young because everything coming out from him is tending to the future, giving templates, relating with contemporary events. Another may be 28. He is more demonic than those who have embezzled all of Nigeria's money because what he has understood, I need to be promoted to become head of parastate, something, so I will get a jeep, as they call it. Those are the greatest dangers to the future of this country, to the future of the Southeast, because we have now a much larger population of them who only understand the expenditure, not the connection between office and service. So, the real question for the Igbo going forward is not what is Nigeria doing for the Southeast. It should be this. How does the Southeast organize itself to be respectable and indispensable to Nigeria and Africa? When will the Southeast wake up to the fact that its undue emphasis on distributed trade, that is hopelessly dependent on an operating environment they are not in control of, verges on lunacy? I don't want to go into a lot of things. As a lecturer in Unilag in 93, I was called to review a book written by some people, some traders in Willoughby. If you know Lagos, that's why they sell Honda parts. Supported this thing. And I talked to them. Do you know that if this Willoughby is moved to Ugwoba, that people will come for? Because that's where the headquarters of parts sale. I lived in Zaria in 1981. Every taxi you saw, the number was OYO. So I asked my uncle, what is this OYO? He said, they register it there, and they will pay for it there. So I said, what? So among those traders, I said, imagine that you go to renew your license in your state. They reported me to Commodore Ebitu Kiwe. That I came and told them all kinds of things. So when I was called, they came with a formal complaint. Ukiwe said, so where is the book? How many of you have read the book? They were said, he said you haven't read. They told us that that's what he said. Ukiwe sank back into his chair in consternation. And you want to change a system, you won't vote. How many people are registered in the Southeast today? Very few. Those who register, you may even find out why some registered is, look, they may come one day and say, where is your card? So on the day of the election, they're in their houses because there's no movement to go to the shop, drinking stout among themselves and saying, I told you this man will win, let's bet. They're in your house. It's another Ike. So, why is there so much capital? But again, these are just details. When you go and build a 15-room house, that's real estate. It's not delivering anything. So, the zone cannot triumph by shouting louder, but by becoming more strategic. There should be no public grandstanding with outward unity. All the regions are disunited, but they maintain a common front. Through 2099, I was chairman of the editorial board of Comet, which is now The Nation. And a Yoruba delegation came to see us, led by Abraham Adesanya, Bisi Akonde, they were all there. So that they are glad that at last there's a voice for this nation and all of that. So I raised some issues about security. Gani Adams was still active. He said, well, if you want, I can call him and call him all sorts of names. But tomorrow I'll also still tell him what to do. We need to be a little more strategic. We cannot progress by waiting for fairness, winning arguments, or WhatsApp activism. We can only win by organizing capital, coordinating power, building institutions, thinking generationally and knowing when to give way and reviewing. This will appear not to make sense. Reviewing on Onitsha Port. Ladies and gentlemen, the Onitsha Inland Port has always been a pet and emotional issue. That we need it. I won't argue about that. But when you know that 68% of the water coming from up north is not coming anymore because of dams, when you know that you now have sand in the middle where there were never such things in the past, when you know that where people build houses today used to be part of the bank, and when you look at the new bridge we built, the height, unless it's by swimming, we'll be crossing there with our containers on strategic engagement. And so there it is. Unless you buy pure water to fill it to get the drought. And on the security of access, you'll carry your ship. You won't land in Asaba or on Okey Ikechukwu. It will go through the sea, isn't it? And pass through the south-south. Am I correct? And as it's passing, the insurgents will be standing aside and clapping for you and saying, safe journey. Is that possible? Let us be strategic. Let's not be getting excited about perceptions of triumph. Let us argue for what will work and deliver value. Now, let's look at this. Remember the policy conflict metrics. As the SCDC is working very hard now, there are driving forces behind it who understand the development, who understand group integration, and who want it to work. There are also restraining forces. This autonomy we have got to our state, they want to bring us together again. Let's not work with SCDC. It's a fact. Then there are direction changers who will approach the chairman and the MD and say, they want to change the direction from a development platform to a procurement platform. They'll think of contracts, they'll think of sharing. Beware of direction changers. That's why you are at the bottom as a point of indifference. The objective platform that says this is not in our interest. And finally, I don't know why they like this picture. I tell them on newspaper, stop using it. TV, so why? This picture is about 15 or 16 years old. Yes, look, is this me? You can say we are related. SEDC, what is this one? Now, unfortunately, they gave me time, but what I have won't be so long. It's only 25 minutes. Yeah. And I think my 25 minutes is up. Thank you very much.